The Calgary Police Service Economic Crimes Unit has laid 164 charges following an extensive vehicle consignment fraud investigation. Between July 16, 2011 and August 31, 2014, 94 citizens brought 116 vehicles into an auto consigning company known as TREADZ Auto Group Inc. with intention of selling their vehicles on consignment. The citizens paid $299 consignment fee to the company and signed a contract with TREADZ. At no time did the vehicle owners agree to transfer the ownership of their vehicles to TREADZ. 78 of these vehicles were allegedly sold to unsuspecting buyers who legally purchased the vehicles from TREADZ. It's alleged that TREADZ failed to compensate the original owner of the vehicle sale, and in some cases also failed to pay off liens associated to that vehicle. Losses from these vehicles are estimated to be $1.8 million. Between October 1st, 2013 and August 31st, 2014, TREADZ is also alleged to have re-registered 62 vehicles in the company's names by using fraudulent ownership documents. In some instances, vehicles' registration documents were completely fabricated. The company then used 38 of these vehicles to acquire a loan from a credit company for approximately $484,000, which allegedly was never repaid. TREADZ then sold some of these vehicles to unsuspecting third parties, leaving consignors at risk of paying debt to the credit company or third-party buyers at risk of having their vehicle seized. The credit company was also able to recover 27 of these vehicles under the Fair Trading Act. However, rather than leaving the citizens at a loss, the company accepted the financial loss and returned the vehicle back to the owners. The total loss accumulated by vehicle owners and the credit company is estimated at over $2.2 million. Sean Patrick O'Brien, 47 of Calgary, has been charged with 89 counts of fraud over $5,000, 71 counts of theft over $5,000, and 1 global charge each for trafficking in property obtained by crime, using a forged document, counterfeiting a mark, and fraud over $5,000. O'Brien will next appear in court on Friday, July 15th, 2016. Calgary Police would like to thank Service Alberta for their assistance in this investigation and the victims for their cooperation and patience.
Can you explain just how complicated this was for you to investigate? What did you have to do to unravel what you just described?
Yes, the investigators of the Economic Crimes Unit really had to take a long period of time to discuss with all of the victims what their individual stories were, and then get the documentation to support charges. So as you can imagine, weeding through thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of documents in order to substantiate that there was criminal activity.
And was it the fact that, were you able to see a paper trail or how were you able to?
Yeah, ultimately that's what we do in Economic Crimes Unit is follow the money or the paper trail of documents. With this instance, it's actually easier for us to explain how this was happening or what happened with the various frauds ongoing using this infographic. So initially what happened was individuals would bring their vehicles in to TREADZ and sign a contract for consignment. In that contract, they were told that they'd be able to receive money within 10 days notice or be notified and receive money within 10 days of the vehicle being sold, and any pre-existing liens would be taken care of. There are 3 different things that happened with this investigation that constituted the frauds. The first thing that happened was once the vehicle was brought into the consignment company, that vehicle was resold to a third-party buyer, and then the money or proceeds from that sale were kept instead of being passed on to the legitimate owner who was originally consigning the vehicle. The second thing that happened was that the vehicle was re-registered using false documents, and then a loan was taken out using the vehicle as collateral, and that loan was never repaid. So now there's a vehicle and the money received from the loan. The third thing that happened was the vehicles were re-registered using false documents, and then those vehicles were resold to unsuspecting third-party buyers, and then again the money or the proceeds from that was kept and used illegitimately.
just occurs to me that it's a lot of work for one person to be accused of doing. Is there any indication there was more involved?
Our initial investigation encompassed the entire TREADZ group. However, through the investigation, there was not enough supporting evidence to say that there were other people that were complicit in the crime.
So is O'Brien then the owner of TREADZ, or is he simply an employee, or where does he fit in this?
He's the owner.
He's the owner. What's a global charge?
So often in fraud, what we do, especially in situations like this where we have multiple victims, is there's one large global charge that's laid, and it's laid between dates, and it's all encompassing of the fraudulent activity between. So the fraud over $5,000 charge in this file, for instance, is an all-encompassing charge based on the patterns of what was happening throughout the entire time. In this situation, we have individual charges, which is something that is really actually not very common for our unit to lay for individual victims. It was through consultation with the Crown in this file that we felt that it was very important for each individual victim to feel like they were getting justice served in their own file, and to give them some credence that, yes, as a victim, they are important. So individual charges on every occurrence were laid, which again is very abnormal for us to do.
So it's the pattern of behavior then that would cover things like trafficking in property, the forged document, and counterfeiting the mark.
Correct.
So cars have been counted for so far that we know of? There's no one out there who might still be driving a car sold illegally?
Unfortunately, we haven't been able to track down all of the vehicles. We have been able to track down most, but again, they're all with third-party legitimate buyers.
You mentioned the vehicles were re-registered to take out the loan. Then did you say they were re-registered again, being sold again, or was it twice?
Sorry, no, it was only, I was just trying to explain that there were three main streams to the fraud. When a vehicle was re-registered, it was either used as collateral for that loan, which brought more funds in, and then sold to a third-party buyer, or it was re-registered and then sold directly to the third-party buyer.
What kind of vehicles were these? Some were high-end apparently?
Yeah, we had one vehicle that was worth approximately $86,000. Multiple different types of vehicles, as you can imagine, all different sorts of vehicles, cars, trucks, and very high-end vehicles. Some victims also had multiple vehicles that they consigned through TREADZ.
Can you talk about how many vehicles were located and or recovered, and how, if anyone got any money?
Right, so there were 27 vehicles, and those were the vehicles that the credit company seized from TREADZ. So on the lot at the time, there were 27 vehicles that were seized. The credit company has returned all of those vehicles in full to the original owner of the vehicles, the people that consigned the vehicles, the victims in these cases. Outside of that, there hasn't been money that has been recovered that we're aware of, but what will happen through the court process is that we'll seek restitution, and hopefully there'll be something there. On top of that, with us being able to charge individually with each victim, on behalf of each victim individually, there are hopes that the insurance companies will be able to look at those on a case-by-case basis and make exceptions.
And the cars that were resold, where are they and how?
Yeah, again, those vehicles that were resold have been resold legitimately to third-party buyers. So those third-party buyers still are in possession of those vehicles.
And you know where they are?
All over the province, actually between provinces as well.
Sorry, you just touched on this a moment ago here, but can you just spell what happens to the victims' money then? Are the victims all, some of them have been compensated, or can you?
Right. Only the 27 vehicles that have been returned, where those victims get those vehicles back, those are the people that have been compensated, if you will. Unfortunately, the rest of the victims are suffering a loss, and you know, for us, this is one of the reasons why we painstakingly go through and do the investigation to the best of our ability, so that we can make sure that in court, through the process in court, that there is at least a positive outcome in court.
Sometimes with these kind of ongoing fraud cases, it seems like it's people trying to keep up with bills or something, or they're underwater, and then they start making bad decisions that start to spiral. This is a little strange in that it doesn't seem like that, it doesn't smell like that from where I stand anyway, but it doesn't seem like the kind of thing you're gonna get away with in the long run either.
Right. Well, this company was in operation for 10 years and actually did legitimate business for those years. And we believe that there actually was credit and loan issues, which really did lead to these frauds being perpetrated.
So that may have actually been, that was an element in other words.
Yeah, that's what we believe.
Now, they shut down some time ago and had a bit of a midnight move. When approximately was that they shut operations?
Right, so in August of 2014, they were closed down. There was a report of a midnight move. It came in as a break and enter to us, and I've followed up with that investigation, and it was actually legitimate business that was going on there that night. It wasn't a midnight move. The sort of theory around the midnight move, I think, can probably came into play because the credit company actually went in and seized the vehicles right around that same time, and legitimately seized the vehicles that they had color of right to and removed them from that property. So it wasn't a midnight move, and that investigation didn't show any indication of that.
Is he still in custody?
He was released with extensive conditions. His next court appearance is the 15th.
Is he in Calgary?
As far as I know.
Okay.
Is this a first offense? Never seen anything like this from O'Brien before?
In Calgary, he doesn't have a criminal history.